Good afternoon. My name is Sister Carol Allen. I'm a Sister of St. Joseph of Springfield, Massachusetts, Director of Campus Ministry, and Special Assistant to the President for Mission, Legacy, and Charism at Elms College. We welcome you to the second ACSSJ Student Leadership Webinar, Cultivating the Common Good and the Service to the Dear Neighbor. Elms College is pleased to be a part of this series of the ACSSJ colleges, exploring the topic of student leadership, leading in the footsteps of our founders. The Association of Colleges of Sisters of St. Joseph recognize strong leadership of our students at our institutions, which centers students to live a life of conviction with profound love for the neighbor until all may be one. And so we begin today with a prayer. Gracious God, thank you for the gifts of this day and for the inspiration given to us by the Sisters of St. Joseph. We are grateful for the wisdom and insight offered by our panel of speakers and for the many people who were a part of setting this event up. Help us to listen today, to hear the invitation and challenge of pursuing excellence in all we do, in cultivating the common good, and in reaching across the aisle to our dear neighbor. May our time together reflect the goodness of you, gracious God, as we recognize your presence inherent in each person. We ask this through the intercession of Mary, who is Our Lady of the Elms. Amen. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Harry Dumay. Harry E. Dumay, PhD, MBA, is the 11th president of our College of Our Lady of the Elms. He has served as senior and executive levels in higher education, finance, and administration for 19 years, including at St. Anselm's, Harvard University's Paulson School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, Boston College Graduate School of Social Work, and Boston University's College of Engineering. In addition, Dr. Dumay served for 9 years as Boston College adjunct professor. Dr. Dumay currently serves as a commissioner, treasurer, and member of the executive committee and member of the annual report on finance and enrollment committee for New England Commission for Higher Education. He also serves on many boards of the Association of Independent Colleges and Universities, the Student Aid Policy Committee for the National Association of Independent Colleges, the Boston Foundation of Haiti Development Institute, and as a board member for the Boston-based Youth and Family Enrichment Services and the World Affairs Council of Western Massachusetts. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Dumay to the podium.
Thank you, Sister Carol, and good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of the students, faculty, staff, trustees of the College of Our Lady of the Elms, welcome to this second session of this series that is inviting all of us here at Elms College and across all of the colleges and institutions founded by the Sisters of St. Joseph to follow in the footsteps of our founders. Let me begin by thanking Martha Malinsky, Executive Director of the Association of Colleges of St. Joseph, of the Sisters of St. Joseph, for initiating this wonderful program that connect all of our campus and engage us in this common dialogue. Also would like to thank Andrew Mercado, our own alumnus and my fellow BC graduate, for coordinating this event and bringing all of the technology together for us today. I would also like to thank Sister Carol and Eileen Kirk for coordinating this program on our campus. As Sister Carol mentioned, she's the special assistant to the president for mission and charism, because it is very important for us to continue the charism of the Sisters of St. Joseph and to advance what we do as we follow in their footsteps. Let me also thank our student panelists, Michaela Hope, Brianna Belgrave-Silly, and Eddie Capaldo, who will be leading and engaging in this conversation with us. The academic year 2018-2019 marks the 90th anniversary of the founding of the College of Our Lady of the Elms. And what better time than on our 90th anniversary to honor our founders and to examine and engage in a conversation about the example of selfless dedication that they led for all of us. And who better to help us in leading that conversation than Sister Kathleen Keating, President Emerita of the college, the 7th President of the College of Our Lady of the Elms, who oversaw a transformation of the college on a number of fronts, ranging from who we admit to how we are structured. And many recognize that thanks to the innovative changes and the visionary efforts that Sister Kathleen took, we are here today to celebrate our 90th anniversary. As a historian, Sister Kathleen Keating, her scholarly bent will be tending to your mind, to the formation of your mind. And as a sister of St. Joseph and a wonderful human being, her humanism will tend to the formation of your heart. And in the tradition of the Catholic intellectual tradition, where faith and reason come together, and in the tradition of the Sisters of St. Joseph, tending to the dear neighbor, what a perfect combination. As we urge you on our campus here at the Elms, but also across all of the Sisters of St. Joseph campuses, to examine how you lead lives of significance, how you prepare yourself to better yourself, but also to contribute to the world. So welcome to this conversation. I hope you enjoy it. I know that I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dume. So now it is my privilege to introduce you to our panelists. I'm going to start with Sister Kathleen. Born in Springfield, Massachusetts, she entered the Sisters of St. Joseph from Our Lady of Hope Parish in Springfield. She taught at St. Joseph's High School and here at Elms College. Sister Kathleen served as National Chairperson of the National Assembly of Women Religious, President of the Springfield Congregation of the Sisters of St. Joseph, and was a missionary associate in Managua, Nicaragua. Upon her return, Kathleen became president of the Elms College, establishing the foundation to transitioning the college into the 21st century, and is currently, as Dr. Dume said, our president emeritus. Currently, Kathleen is retired, maybe, because we keep asking her to come to campus, and she's always so gracious. She lives in Holyoke, Massachusetts, and so we welcome Sister Kathleen. We have Brianna Belgrave-Silly, who is a senior, double major studying in biology and psychology with a minor in bioethics and Asian studies. Brianna serves as president of the senior class, is co-president of International Club and co-captain of the cheerleading club, and works closely with international programs. Please welcome Brianna. Michaela Falk is a senior majoring in nursing. Michaela is a Bonbon Scholar, a member of the Campus Ministry Club, has been on numerous mission trips, and currently serves as president of the Student Activities Board. Please welcome Michaela. Eddie is a sophomore majoring in management and accounting. He is the treasurer of his sophomore class, is a member of the swim team, served as a Dorothy Day program leader, and is a student ambassador for the Center for Entrepreneurial Work Leadership, and currently works as a work-study student in the Elms Business Department. Please welcome Eddie. And Eileen Kirk. Eileen will be the moderator today for this event. Eileen has been a lifelong teacher, was director and coordinator of our Step Forward, Step Ahead Quest program for at-risk middle and high school students. Eileen currently is the assistant director of campus ministry, and I couldn't do it without her. And she is a graduate of Elms College. Please welcome Eileen. And I would like to thank all the panelists for their willingness to share with us, our audience, all their wisdom and insight on what it means to be a student leader and a member of the Elms College community. And we will start with Sister Kathleen.
Thank you, Carol. I think my task today is simply to try to demonstrate that the mission of the college derives from the mission of the Sisters of St. Joseph. Both of these missions are very much in harmony, and that is what I'm here to explain. I like the word mission in the sense that we have to understand that it comes from a Latin word which means sent. You are sent. And in this case, all of you who are part of the Elms community, all our friends that are here, are part of a something bigger than ourselves. And so I think you all know what the mission statement of the college is, but we will say a little bit about that later. And fundamentally, of course, the mission of the college is to educate students. And also it invites you to live according to, or to be aware of, the core values of faith, community, justice, and excellence. In a sense, this mission statement is your sending agent, where it gives you some particulars in how to carry out the goal of the college. So if you take the mission statement, it isn't any good as a bunch of words. You've got to take it into your heart and into your soul and say, I'm at the Elms, and this is being at College of Our Lady of the Elms means. And I think also we have to understand that in a religious-based college, there needs to be a consciousness that what we do and how we are and how we live is essentially God's work that we are sent to do. So I believe that the mission of the college does come from the college ministry, the mission of the Sisters of St. Joseph. I have here the what we call the consensus statement, which describes to some degree the mission and charism of the Sisters of St. Joseph. I'm not going to read it because I'm going to tear it apart for a bit. There are many different congregations of the Sisters of St. Joseph, and I'm sure you are. And so back in the 1950s and 1960s, when we were undergoing a big renewal process, many of the congregations said, well, what do we all have in common? So a group of scholarly sisters undertook to come up with a statement that would explain what were the central ideas of our founder, of our co-founder actually, the Jesuit father, Pierre Madère, back in France in 1650. So we come from the 17th century, basically, holding our age very well. The basis of the mission of our congregation was derived from the last discourse of Jesus from John's Gospel, that all may be one as you, Father, are in me, and I in you. I pray that all may be one in us. The consensus statement begins with this statement. And I'm going to just read sections of it and explain a bit about it. The consensus, stimulated by the Holy Spirit of love and receptive of God's inspirations, the Sisters of St. Joseph, the Sister of St. Joseph, moves always toward profound love of God. Therefore, our thoughts, our words, and our actions ideally stem from the Holy Spirit, who exists in our souls and inspires us to embrace God's love, that we in turn might be able to receive God's love and give it to others. From the beginning, we considered ourselves the community of the great love of God. The statement goes on to say, not only love, profound love of God, but love of neighbor without distinction. You hear that over and over again. Very important. From which she does not separate herself, and for whom, in the following of Christ, She works in order to achieve unity both of neighbor with neighbor and neighbor with God. An important phrase here is without distinction. As Christians, we believe that everyone in this world, everyone is a child of God, no exceptions. Our concern does not rise from political correctness, but a spirituality that recognizes everyone as neighbor. And we are called then to be part of this community of all people in the world, actually. That is why we are also drawn to the peoples on the edges of society who cannot participate in this human community. And so we give them special care, especially those who no one cares for. And this we consider in so many ways the spirit of reconciliation, reconciling people with others and with God, of course. The next statement says, she works, that is the sister of St. Joseph, works directly in the apostolate and indirectly through works of charity, in humility, in the spirit of the incarnate word, in sincere charity, the man of St. Joseph, whose name she bears. Apostolate means, we don't use that word too much now, but it means our principal work. It's just teaching or ministering in a parish or a jail or a college or wherever. And we also, in addition to what we do in our main apostolate, we also add in our volunteer work and so forth, our works of charity and justice. Humility is a word that is frequently misunderstood. I just want to address this word for a minute. Not a word you hear very often. People don't like, I don't know, they think that somebody walks around, oh, you know, I'm no good, but actually, it's a strong word that describes someone who possesses self-knowledge, has self-esteem without egotism, and understands one's gifts and shortcomings. In other words, life is not centered on me and my way. Life, it is we exist with others and for others. We are, of course, going to concern ourselves about ourselves. We have to. You know, the other day, as you pardon if I mentioned Boston Red Sox, and who happened to be the current world champions. I listened to some of the pre-broadcasts, and it was Mookie Betts, of course, who's been the star of the show from the beginning of the summer. And he said, we are going to be humble. Well, I was shocked to hear somebody use that word, humble. And what he meant by it seemed to be that we are in this together. We're going to go, we don't all have to get up and hit a home run. We're going to do what we can do to contribute to this team, this community of people. And the World Series bore that out. You obviously saw a spirit of community among those players. And it was quite an encouraging kind of thing to see. And they had fun with what they were doing. Of course, it was sort of prophetic in Mookie's case because he didn't do too well, as well as he did during the season. But that's a humble way of looking at things. It's not about me. It's about everyone else. It's about other people. Then go on. The statement goes on. The consensus statement goes on and says, we work in an Ignatian Salesian climate that is with an orientation toward excellence, tempered by gentleness, peace, and joy. Ignatian Salesian climate sounds a little jargony, but to our congregation it is not. St. Ignatius Loyola and St. Francis de Sales greatly influenced our founding in 1650. St. Francis de Sales, as the Bishop of Geneva, was known for his kindness, joy, and peacefulness, and his concern for poor people. From gentleness, peace, and joy emerges a spirit of hospitality and inclusiveness for which we strive. St. Ignatius was the founder of the Society of Jesus, or Jesuits, as its members are called. It was a Jesuit who helped found the Sisters of St. Joseph, and he and the Society are known for the pursuit of excellence and always searching for the more, and not just satisfied with what is, but always searching for what is more beyond what we are doing. That then underlies our mission and our charism. This word charism is kind of, again, an inside word we use. Basically, I define it as it's a gift a particular religious congregation gives to the church, that is, gives to the people of God. Now, we all religious congregations stem from the gospel, of course, but congregations tend to emphasize particular aspects of that gospel. And finally, the Sisters of St. Joseph of Springfield, our congregation, clarified some of this for ourselves when we articulated a congregational goal in the 1970s, and is written this way in our Constitution. In prayer and action, it's a very simple statement, but it means a lot. In prayer and action, we are all involved in living simply and working for a more just and peaceful world. These actions include not only our everyday work, but other types of outreach, but also advocacy on behalf of justice issues. Finally, I just want to look at the mission and core values of the college. I would think you know the statement of core values by this time. And we may word our statements differently because a congregation and a college obviously have different goals. We have different things we need to achieve. We share some of the same vision, but our way of reaching out and fulfilling that vision is quite different from each other because our raison d'etre, our reason for being, is different. We each exist for different reasons. But if you have any doubt that the mission of the college flows from the SSJs, just look at what I have said about the mission of the Sisters of St. Joseph and listen to the words that I will give you from your own statements about your own mission and your own core values. And these are the words, which echo so many of our own words. I'm just going to run through quickly some of the words. Supportive, vibrant community. We effect positive changes in the community and in the world. That is, we work for the common good. We work without compromising principle, respond creatively to demands of chosen careers, and advocate for people in need. We are compassionate in heart and responsive to civic and social obligations. That again, talking about the common good. Now, first of all, your core values, faith. So listen to the words. Empowered by love and faith, welcomes all. That is inclusivity. We are developing spiritually, ethically, and intellectually. We commit to, and then we have a sense, community is another core value. Compassion, relationship building, mutual respect, trust, response to the needs of others, a spirit of hospitality. Then there's justice, social responsibility, equal opportunity and justice for those within the college community and beyond. The common good, we work for the common good and to improve the lives of people. And finally, excellence. Elms College fosters excellence. We develop the whole individual. We challenge each other to realize our full potential to impact the world through our knowledge and enhanced skills. In other words, you're leaving here not just as a person who has, not just because you have been developed as a person or you developed as a person, but you have gifts to help develop the world around you. So that is basically, have I got a couple more minutes, Eileen? 1.5 minutes left. Okay, I just want to conclude with a few more words. The other night, when I was speaking at the dinner, the 90th anniversary dinner, I just made some remarks to, there were trustees and friends of the college and members of the college community there. And I have been, as I told them, I've been associated with this college since I was 10 years old. My older sister came here, and when I was 10, and I started to attend events. And then eventually my other sister came, and eventually I came. So I really care deeply, not just about its past, but about its present and future. Over the years, I sometimes entertained this question: why does this college exist? Or even more specific, because we have a lot of struggles. Small colleges, all small colleges have struggles. Well, all colleges do, I suppose, but especially us. Or even more specifically, why does this Catholic college exist? Obviously, we are here to educate the whole person by immersing students in the liberal arts and sciences, educating them for a profession if that is what they choose. It was Mother John Berkmans who founded this college, who insisted that we educate for life and for a living, for a career. So we certainly hope that our students are employable and able to attain a job at graduation. But to be a Catholic college in the tradition of the Sisters of St. Joseph is to seek for something more. That is to understand that everyone born on this earth, without exception, is God's child. We are born into a community of human beings and eventually are part of many different communities. And we all share some responsibility for each other, which is simply talking about the common good. We expect our students and graduates will be engaged with this society, bringing with them both compassion and competence. This calls for a strong commitment to social justice and loving our neighbors without distinction. Our mission in implementing it to the best we know how gives us a reason to exist. Now, the common sort of prognostication, you might call it, about colleges in the future, that there will be fewer colleges, and a lot of them will be just absorbed by other colleges, or smaller colleges may not exist. But I truly believe if all of us are faithful to this mission, the Holy Spirit will guide us into the future and into a place where God desires us to be. And that's all that's important, to be where God wants us to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Kathleen, for helping us to understand what it means to be a member of the Elms College community in light of our relationship with our founding sisters and sisters of St. Joseph, to always be a welcoming and hospitable community. It's always humbling to be reminded about how we got here and why we are here today. And now I would like to ask our student panelists to give their responses to your words. We have a reflection guide that is on each table, and we'll use those questions as a starting point for our continued discussion. So our first question. In light of Sister Kathleen's talk on leadership and cultivating the common good on campus, who is it that you feel you're called to be on campus and in the world? And I'm going to start with Brianna. I'm going to move this to our student panelists. Thank you.
So I think it's important that we all recognize that we have a personal responsibility in this world to help people wherever we can with the resources that are available to us. For me, I feel that it's my job to serve others. Everybody has their strengths, and that tends to be one of the things I'm good at. And that I'm looking at a person and understanding what is it that they need and how we can help them. And as people, we just need to put people's needs together and form a community. And it's important to bridge gaps amongst people. I don't know if many of you know, but I spent accurately half of my life here in America and the other half in Barbados. And just moving between countries, it's just so apparent to see everything that distances people from each other. And there are differences can separate us, but there should be something that brings us together. And it's important to share that with each other by having those kind of conversations and embracing one another as people.
So the question is, who am I called to be on campus and more? So many years ago, I was in my hometown when I was in high school, and I was asked to go on a mission trip with a church. And a bunch of my friends were going, and I thought, go and have fun with my friends, and it wouldn't be a big deal. We ended up going to New Orleans and helping just anyone who was in need. So I didn't really think anything of it, but as the trip went on, it was for a week, I realized how much I loved serving others in any way that they needed. It's just dependent on the need. And so through that, I discovered my love for caring and serving for the needs of others, which then led me to the profession I'm about to start in nursing. So I kind of brought those two things together and just helping those in need, whatever it is that they might need. And so on campus, I often find myself caring for other nursing students that are struggling in the program, considering I'm kind of towards the second half, and just I really find that the Sisters of St. Joseph kind of cultivate that as well, just lending that helping hand.
Going on, serving others. As a leader at Elms College, I believe that you are called not only to be a leader, but to be a friend to your peers and a role model to your peers through your leadership. And that's to everyone you're involved with on campus, whether it be a teammate, a classmate, a good friend of yours, your roommate, anyone that needs help, you're there to serve them. An example of that would be, in my personal experience, to be the swim team. I feel it's important for me to show what it really means to be on the team and in and out of the pool. When on the swim team, we pride ourselves in our academics. We were ranked 6th in the nation for D3 schools for academic GPA, and so as a team, we pride ourselves on our academics just as much as we pride ourselves in our success in the pool. And I feel as being a leader on Elms College, on the campus, it's important to show important to show my teammates that it can be done, that you can balance sports, you can balance your on-campus activities, your off-campus activities, and still get the academic experience and needs from this college.
Thank you, panelists. We'll move to our second question. What does it mean to be a leader in today's world inspired by the spirit of the Sisters of St. Joseph? Mikhail,
So a leader in today's world inspired by the Sisters of St. Joseph, I find, is someone who simply empowers others, gives others the confidence they need to succeed, whether that be just a listening ear or a helping hand with studies, with athletics, encouraging someone to step out of their comfort zone. I recently traveled to Nicaragua with campus ministry to serve those in need, and I had just a wonderful time, and I encourage other students to do the same. It was a real leap of faith for me. I didn't really know anyone going. I'd never been there before, traveling without anyone I really knew besides the students and faculty that went with us. But just empowering others to find success in whichever way that may be.
So a big saying that we have on campus is uniting neighbor with neighbor and neighbor with God without distinction. And that's very big with the Sisters of St. Joseph and Elms College campus. We use that as most of our sayings, and to be a leader in today's world inspired by the spirit of Sisters of St. Joseph, using that as your base, as your foundation, that teaches you and it shows you how you should and can be a leader anywhere where you are, either in your business, on your team, on campus. You unite all of your friends, you unite your peers, you unite your teammates all together, and you can show them a path of holiness, you can show them a path of kindness, and you can help them to be who they want to be just through uniting them.
For me, being a leader in today's world, I feel like the Sisters of St. Joseph really went out of their way, despite the times that they were living in, to create a change in their communities. And being a leader is about being bold enough to come together and believe in something, and getting other people to believe in that too, or find their own passions in order to change the world, in order to improve the well-being of other people. It's about taking the initiative to help others and putting yourself in the mindset that when you do that, not only do you educate and you grow as a person, but you help other people to grow, and in turn that creates this ripple effect where we're learning and growing from each other. And a leader, that's what a leader is. A leader helps people and they guide one another. They're not in charge of somebody, they don't delegate, they don't give orders. And I think that's what being a leader means.
Thank you. Our third question, how do you pursue excellence in all your endeavors? And Eddie, I'll start with you on that.
How I pursue excellence in my endeavors. I'll use the swim team again as an example. I swim every weekday, 3:30 to 6. I train for all of my upcoming races, and at every practice, no matter what's going on outside of swim, I will drop it and I will be 100% focused on swimming so I can give 100% of my effort into each and every one of my practices. And even through all of this effort, I have the understanding that I may not win my next race, I may not get my best time, but I know that if I can come up from this, if I can take that step back up, I can get back up and try again, that I will be able to reach my final goal. And through my faith and my coach and my training, through that I will succeed. I know that I will succeed. Even if it's not right away, maybe it takes a couple of races, maybe it takes a couple of practices to get used to it. I know that in the long run, my goal will be, I will achieve my goal that I set for myself.
For me, pursuing excellence means that I have to demand a lot of myself. It means constantly trying to do better in this world. In the international club, I communicate a lot with international students, and I've partaken we have a poetry exchange program where we have Japanese students who come every 2 weeks. And I try every year to get people to open up and partake. They're like, oh, well, I'm not having anything common with them. It's not going to work out. And it's like, for me, pursuing excellence is going out to people and getting them to partake in things like that, and exchanges where they open up themselves to a different part of the world and get different viewpoints, and showing people how to bring about excellence in each other and in themselves, and instilling confidence and just being a good support system for one another, and just telling yourself every day, what can I do to help this person? And it's just putting in that effort where I think that's how you pursue excellence.
I pursue excellence through striving to do my best, to taking every opportunity. The college often has a lot of opportunities here for students that I think a lot of students might not realize are there. So taking those opportunities and pushing other students to realize that you have all these opportunities here. Even just reaching out and helping other people. Sister Kathleen once said to me, you can't change the whole world, but you can do your part, and just doing your part will make the world a better place. And I think that's just the most important thing.
Thank you. Well, I'm conscious of the time, so what I'd like to do is say thank you to our student panelists for your thoughtful responses to the presentation and the questions. And clearly it is so evident that you live out the mission and the core values of this wonderful institution, and you understand so well the impact that the Sisters of St. Joseph have had on this college and continue to have to this day. At this point, I'd like to open up the floor for any questions or comments from the audience. And we have Andrew who will help us with that if there's anyone who is logging in that has a question.
I have a question. How do you manage your time with all that you do here on campus?
It's definitely difficult. It's not anything easy. I tend to be a very organized person. Anyone who knows me well knows that I'm like crazy when it comes to organization. Just being aware of things and trying to your best just to get it all done. It's a lot of work though. Yeah, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah, going off of what she said, I'd say being organized organization is your key to being able to manage your time as well as you can. Some people say they don't have enough time in their day, but through organization, I believe that you can do just about anything you'd like to on this campus, as long as you stay on top of your stuff.
Prioritization.
I'm not organized like I do. No, for me, it's this constant reminder to myself. And I think when you want to do something and you're so passionate, you just find a way, you know. I mean, I've tackled so many things, and for me, it's not because I can log everything down in my book and manage my time. It's just like, I want to do this, and I make time for it, and I don't make excuses about it. And that's how I manage everything that I do.
It might be helpful if you repeat the question, because I'm not sure if they hear us. Okay. So if you can repeat the question after we answer it, it might be helpful for the people online. But a question for Sister Kathleen is, how do you see the charism taking shape in the future, and what drew you to join the Sister of St. Joseph? 2 questions.
What was the second part?
What drew you to join the Sisters of St. Joseph?
Well, for the future, I think that we will probably be a smaller congregation, and most congregations will be smaller. I don't think that really matters, but I think it isn't so important as what the quality and the spirit that we bring to what we do. So in the future, I see much of the same. I see an extension, however, of this. You know, there was a time when we hardly understood this mission and charism, because until the research was done back in the middle of the last century, we didn't understand fully about we didn't know the early documents, we didn't fully understand them, and so therefore it has taken us a time to absorb them ourselves and to really say, out of this mission, what more do we need to do? It's always what more. I think we still have to ask that. And so I do think we will see sisters still in many ministries and still bringing, I hope, inclusiveness, gentleness, peace, and joy, and all of that we hope that we stand for. But maybe expanding in different kinds of ways, a greater amount of advocacy. I would see that as advocating for the poor and the alienated in our society. A much more consciousness, a greater and deeper consciousness of the inequalities that exist in this world, and attention to really, is there any systemic way we can working with others, because we will be small and will be very, very important. Other groups that have similar goals. I mean, after all, we don't own this mission. This is a gospel mission. We just have to emphasize certain things. And we will be, so therefore, to bond with others of different faiths, and different kinds of walks of life, and bringing together and continue to try to bring together people of all kinds of different groups, not just faith groups, but ethnic, racial, so forth. So I do think I see the mission continuing, but I think we're going to have a greater insight as we develop this. You know, it took us the last 60 or 70 years to really begin to really grasp this mission fully, and I think we'll continue to do that. What made me be a Sister of St. Joseph? Well, I suppose I got indoctrinated from an early age. I started in the 3rd grade with the Sisters of St. Joseph and finished at the Elms College, so I had about 14 or 15 years with them. I think that basically it came to be what I hear students still talking about. I want to be of service. That's all. That seemed to be the only thing important in life. It wasn't just getting a job, and it wasn't just doing making myself better all the time. It wasn't about that. It was about others. And so I saw the Sisters of St. Joseph as people who served others, but I also knew that from the time I was a little girl, I wanted to be a teacher. And this was a group of people who taught people and who did it in a very special way. And I saw some role models with the sisters. I saw some people I didn't want to model myself on with the sisters. But it was overwhelming, a call from God. And I remember I remember this clearly. When I first started believing I had a call to religious life, I always thought that the further away the congregation was, the more I wanted, because I think I wanted to see the world. And that was part of it. But then the closer I got to this decision, I was very indecisive, and I just knew it had to be a teaching community. So, you know, when you're young, you say, oh, maybe there's greener fields elsewhere. I remember sitting in a chapel, and we'd have retreats every year. This was our senior retreat, and the priest would come and lead the retreat, and we would have it on campus in supposed silence. Can you imagine? I'm about to graduate from that, but don't see. But anyway, sitting in the, and I remember the priest saying very clearly, you know, when you go to answer call in life, it doesn't mean religious life, but any kind of call, because everything we undertake, hopefully, is a responsive call from God. And so he said, but it isn't what you want, it's what God wants. And I immediately knew that Sister St. Joseph would be the congregation angel, because I thought that was what God called. It was clearly what I wanted to do and what I wanted to do. So it was that kind of thing. There's occasionally a moment like that when you discern in a discernment process, things just clarify themselves. And that was it.
Another question that we have, and it could be to anyone on the panel, what is your perspective regarding diversity and embracing and understanding different cultures?
This is a question for me?
For anybody.
Oh, for anybody.
So can you diversity?
The question is, what is your perspective regarding diversity and embracing and understanding different cultures?
I guess I'm a total on diversity person, but I feel that in order, especially in a country where it's such a melting pot, the fact that there's so many cultures here, people, and yet there's no connectedness. A lot of people don't understand others from like where they come from, or their religion, or their cultures, or whatever. And there's no way to be a human being in this world when you're just concerned with yourself. Understanding people helps you understand yourself, in turn helps you understand the world. And it's just like, I feel like it makes us who we are. And it's without it, it's like going through life just looking straight down the road and not taking in all that is to offer.
I think when the college was in its early days, it was very white. I mean, you know, that was the natural thing. It was mostly Irish too, because those are the young women who would come here, who were predominantly people who were drawn to a Catholic education for women. And so I think that we worked very hard to, as we became more conscious of this, worked hard to bring in people of color. And we also always have had from the beginning people of different faiths. And so when I would just say, and it's sort of connected to, but when I was doing this little talk here, I often thought about, we try to be inclusive, which means we are going to have here, coming here, we're really accepting and inclusive. We're going to have people who will come from other Christian faiths. They will come from other faith groupings, as Muslim, Jewish, or whatever. We've had people of those faiths coming. We will have people of different ethnic groups. But I kept thinking, what about the atheist who comes here, or the agnostic? Can they fit into this? Is this going to be, can they follow this mission? I mean, the gospel doesn't mean anything to them. God may not mean much to them. But when I was thinking about it, it's basically a humanitarian mission as well. The difference is that this mission comes out of our faith beliefs. But many of our faith beliefs have influenced the better side of human nature over the centuries. So that I think any good human being who comes here, regardless of their faith, and we, as I say, we've had people of different faiths, and hopefully we will have more, that they will, if they these values, it may originate in them from a different source. They maybe just want to be good human beings, and I think that they can fit into this. And I think that's, because we want to be inclusive, and we should be, we have to be conscious that people who are here who may find this not the way I present it, even not so helpful to them. But I think that's just why I want to say that it can be, and we have to stress that these are humanitarian ideas as well, and they will produce good human beings who will do very good works. And I think that's how we have to be conscious to relate to other people too. So it's a kind of a, so as diverse as we may become, and one of the great diversities we have the SAGE, the age diversity, and we have more people of color, we have more ethnic groups certainly. I noticed on last year's graduation there was one Irish name. One Irish surname on the list of graduates. So probably a couple more that I missed. But you know, it has become diverse and is becoming more diverse and has to, because that's who we are as Americans. And that's what we celebrate.
And yes, that is exactly what we celebrate. So our time is quickly coming to a close here. I'd like to thank Dr. Dumais, Sister Kathleen Keating, Sister Carol Allen, our panelists Eddie Capaldo, Brianna Belgrave Seeley, and Michaela Farr. Also, I'd like to thank Martha Malinsky, Executive Director of ACSSJ, Andrew Mercado, Coordinator of the webinar series for ACSSJ colleges. And a special thanks goes out to the C. Charles Jackson Foundation for supporting this event and the events of all the webinars. I would also like to thank our Media Services Department for helping us get the technology straightened out for today. And a special thanks to Aramark for catering today's event. And thank you to all of you who have logged in from around the country. We're very grateful that you were able to join us here. The next series of the webinar will take place this Saturday, November 3rd, and is coming to us from Mount St. Mary's University in Los Angeles, California. 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, 3:30 Central Time, and 1:30 Pacific Time. The theme of this Saturday's webinar is Live Your Why. We hope you will be able to join us at the St. Mary's University webinar this Saturday. Thank you all for attending today's webinar. And God bless.
Are we good?